Hello everybody, Ron Milligan with RE/MAX Select here in Portland's Pearl District, and what I have for you today is something that we haven't seen for a couple of months, which is the home price forecast for 2022. If you've been following the channel, about every month some of the big players in the market, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, CoreLogic, Ivy Zelman, so on and so forth, MBA, they all come out with their predictions for where the market is going to end up at the end of this year. And each month I go back and I kind of compare and contrast and see who's been increasing and who's been decreasing. And today we might go into a little bit of why they may still be holding on to these numbers. So the first thing is, let's look at what they've got right now. So this is what came out in July. Mortgage Brokers Association did decrease their prediction significantly. Back in May, they were at 6.2%, and they're now down to 2.7%. Ivy Zelman, back in, I think it was in April, she increased. She was down in the threes for this year, and then increased towards the beginning of April up to 8.3, and she's still staying steady there, but this is one that I'm going to watch. Because normally I jump online and I'll catch an Ivy Zelman interview or video or something like that, and I haven't seen anything from her for a while, so I'm wondering why she's keeping quiet. I do like looking at her numbers because she tends to be very conservative and very careful. NAR 8.4%, that's the same, no change for the home. Oh, actually there was change for the home price expectation survey. In May they were at 9%, and they did increase to 9.3%. HPES, the Home Price Expectation Survey, is a survey of 100 plus economists, analysts in the residential real estate field, and it's an average of what their feelings are about whatever question they happen to be asking them at that time. CoreLogic is still at 9.6, no change there. Freddie Mac at 10.4, no change. Fannie Mae at 10.8%, no change, and the average of all 7 of these forecasts is 8.5%. That is down from 9% back in May. So why do these folks still think, given what's going on with our market, that we're going to end the year at such a robust level of appreciation? Keep in mind, these are national numbers. These are not Portland or Oregon numbers. These are national numbers. And the main reason comes back to this. Here's this quote from Dave Ramsey on a video he did recently. The root issue of what drives house prices is almost always is supply and demand. Now interest rates affect that. When interest rates go up, guess what? Fewer buyers. The demand goes down, and thus prices are going to have to soften or not be as cray-cray, that's a quote, as they have been, and that's what we're seeing right now. So why is that? Part of it is it's just pure supply and demand. So take a look here at this chart, which is indicating something that we're seeing on the supply side right now. This is the average of the 50-year average of the number of units, number of housing units completed, over the last 50 years. And that dotted line down the middle is the average that we've seen in the last 50 years. And then you can see that for the last 14 years, we have been bringing new construction units to the market at a rate below the 50-year average, and some years considerably below that. Of course, prior to that, we had a few years where it was really high, and that was right before the market crashed. And the reason why builders have been so careful and cautious is that a lot of them got burned when the market collapsed in 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, and 11. I remember in the metro area here when that happened, when we got the big mortgage meltdown. 5 of the 6 biggest builders in the metro area went into bankruptcy. And some of them, I think, actually just folded. There are a couple of builders that used to be kind of big in the area that are pretty much gone now. And we seem to have a new set. So a lot of builders after the mortgage meltdown were being very, very careful about what they were, how much, making sure that they weren't getting ahead of themselves. Because, if they build one house and then they build another house, now all of a sudden they're creating their own competition, and that's not good for them. So they've been very conservative, very careful about the number of homes that they've been building. So we've ended up with a suppressed number of homes as compared to typical household formation in the US. So on one end, we can have folks that are probably a little more optimistic. The NAR, for example, thinks that, at one point they said we were 5 million homes underbuilt. Recently, I think I saw that they were more around 3 million homes. Last time I heard Ivy Zellman mention this, she thrown out the number is probably closer to 1 million. So the truth is probably somewhere in between there, that the demand for homes is still going to be high because of this constrained supply, and that we don't have enough homes for the number of folks that want to purchase. So we look at this next one, let's visit the demand side. What's driving a lot of the demand? Well, artificially, this last year or 2 years, a lot of the demand was being driven by really low interest rates. Cheap, free money was allowing folks to do, fulfill their wildest real estate fantasies as much as they could in that really, really competitive market. But in addition to that, we also had some demographic factors that we were dealing with. So NAR, in their profile of home buyers last year, said that the average age that people typically buy their first home is the age 34. And if we look at this chart here of US population by generation, we can see the millennial generation and Gen Z right behind them, coming up with a lot of folks turning and about to turn and will be turning in the future that magic number of 34. So there's a huge amount of demand of people. And of course, what we've seen is in surveys about home ownership, millennials have said that home ownership, as many as like 70% of them said that home ownership is a high priority for them. So you can see, just generationally based on these numbers, the demand is probably still going to be there even without the artificially created demand from really low interest rates. Supply and demand situation, of course, it is tempered and by interest rates, but the main pieces are there with constrained supply and high demand, and that's probably why a lot of these analysts are still predicting kind of a rosy future for us when it comes to residential real estate. Last one up here is estimated home price performance, and this is it's another HPES survey, and you can see here they're at 9.3% for 2002, and for the balance of the next 4 years going forward, they're somewhere between 3 and 4%, 4.19 in 2023. So what this looks like is, 2022, we're riding the tailwinds of that crazy market that we experienced in 21. And then going towards the future, we're probably going to be experiencing more normal or typical appreciation. In the US, typical appreciation over the last 20 years has been about 3.8%. That's normal. What we've been experiencing the last few years has been abnormal. So what they're looking at is probably a return to a more normal rate of appreciation going forward. Of course, as these numbers change and this information gets updated, I will absolutely share that with you. And as always, if all real estate is local, so if you have any questions about what's going on in your neck of the woods, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share what I know. If you like this material, this information, or you know of someone who might be interested in it, please go ahead and like it, subscribe, and share the video as you see fit. All right, we'll talk to you soon.